All right. All right, everyone. So welcome back to the Mudhorn podcast. I'd like to give Joe credit for that name since he did come up with it on his Facebook Star Wars group. But yeah, I totally ripped it off because it was too good and it fit with the Elhorn. So yeah, Joe is the owner of Shade Beast Records in Athens, a record and memorabilia, custom memorabilia store dealing with heavy metal. Cool stuff. I got his Dio shirt on right now. So
right on.
Yeah.
I wish you would have told me. I would have wore the Lemmy shirt.
You sent me the extra 4X, so I sent it to Mark since that was his.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's repping it over in Kentucky there. So
right on.
Worldwide. Soon to be galaxy wide. Let's talk some Obi Wan, guys. This is episode 5. I'm gonna call it Disney Strikes Back.
and yes, they do.
Yes, they did. So let's just get your overall thoughts on what you're hoping for before the show came on. Like, what did you think this show was going to be about? And then we'll talk some episode details and overall thoughts. You go first, Joe, since you're on top.
Okay. Well, my expectations really were just that I wanted to see some content that bridged Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Like what was Obi Wan doing all these years between the two? And it gave us more than that, I think. I mean, it could have just been kind of stuff that happened on Tatooine, messing around with Tusken Raiders. Who knows? When I found out that Darth Vader was going to be in this series, it really piqued my interest. I was like, this is cool. We're going to see them interact once again.
Yeah.
Before A New Hope. And now I'm hoping for season 2 with even more interaction.
Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Nope.
Yeah, I was going into it and I was thinking it was going to be more, Tatooine based. I thought it would have been more based with Luke, especially after getting into the series and seeing that he doesn't even know him.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? Hang on now. And, again, like with the knowing that Vader was coming into this and is being reprised by Hayden Christensen, and just like, all right, things are going to get real.
Yeah.
And I agree. I really hope there is a season 2. And I would be surprised if there was, actually.
You'd be surprised if there is?
Yeah. I mean, has it been announced or anything? Has anything been announced for season 2?
No.
I read that they rewrote the last episode to allow for a season 2 at the last minute. Apparently it was done while the show was started somehow. So apparently, yeah, there is going to be a season 2, which I kind of hope there is. But at the same time, if there wasn't, I'd probably be all right with that too, because what we don't want is oversaturation. Like, I'm good with all this Star Wars as long as it's different Star Wars and not just like everything inside every character in the Mandalorian gets a series, which it seems like that might be happening, because I know the Ahsoka stuff is supposed to be Rebels and Mandalorian lore, So, like I say, I want diversity more than I want everyone to get their own series, basically. Like, I don't want to Marvel where it's like, oh, well, we got this Loki series, what he did after he disappeared in New York. It's like, well, okay, I guess. But
I feel like the Andor series is going to be tangent enough. Like, that's going to deal with stuff that no one's really ever seen or thought about before.
Yeah.
But personally, if they do another season of Obi Wan and it's just more legacy stuff, just spun over and over again, just him battling with Vader and stuff happening on.
Exactly. Like, I don't want
three
more duels with Vader. Like, as cool as the first 2 were, like, I feel like that could just be overdone to where it's like, oh yeah, then they fight when they're old and we know how that ends,
Right.
That star. So yeah, the more you show it, the more it takes away from what happened, the impact, I think.
Unless they speed it up to where, in my opinion, it takes place till to the end of the Rebel series,
Mhm.
and it includes the Darth Maul battle in live action.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. You know, bring Ray Park back, because we know he's alive based at the end of Solo.
Mhm.
Yeah. And also in Clone Wars and Rebels. He's in Rebels too.
Right.
They need to explain how Obi-Wan's hair gets white in 9 years also, because there's only 9 years between this series and A New Hope.
Yes, I read it was 9 or 10 years. So yeah, actually I read it was 10 years after episode 3.
Right. And which is
before New Hope.
Well, I mean, and I saw a breakdown of somebody saying this the other day where it was Alec Guinness was about 60, 62 years old at the beginning of A New Hope. And this series takes place 10 years before A New Hope.
Right. And
Ewan McGregor is 51 years old.
Hmm.
So it kind of makes sense, I guess, but you're right. He does have, like, he's all white by then.
Yeah.
Which, you know, Tatooine, two sons, desert, you know, I could see where it'd bleach him out really over the next couple years.
Somebody I spoke to last night said that same thing. It's like, oh, it's just a white guy living in the desert. He's going to get bleached out in 20 years, you know? So
yeah, makes
yeah,
sense. All right, well, let's start with episode 1 and kind of just go progressively through the episodes. So we meet the Inquisitors, Reva, the Grand Inquisitor, and the Asian fella that I do not know his name right offhand. I thought they were really cool. I have issues on how they were treated later on, but we'll get to that later. But when they first came on, I was like, man, this is some really cool shit. Like Jedi's hunting Jedi's. I just kind of calling them out. Like, we know you're nice, you're good people, and we'll use that against you to find you. Basically, they had that one that was strung up in the town square later on, which I thought was pretty cool, you know, and stuff like that. And, like, just being like intimidating to like the residents, I guess you call it, or the common folk down there, stuff like that. So yeah, I was like, I really thought it gave it like this cool, like with Obi Wan in particular, this cool like Unforgiven vibe, where, like, you know, in the Clint Eastwood movie, you know, they find him, he's like, yeah, I'm not really into it no more. You know, I do this now. And then by the end, you know, he's like down in some whiskey and, you know, threatening to kill everybody. It's kind of the same trajectory, even though it wasn't like that same scenario, you know. So I like how Obi-Wan's just kind of working a job, stealing food, you know, to eat every night and stuff, and then just kind of drawn back in reluctantly. I thought that was really cool. And the thing I liked about the previews is everyone thought it was going to be like Obi-Wan and Luke. No one ever mentioned Leia, and I didn't think about it either. And man, when she showed up, I was like, damn, I did not see that. But this would make total sense on how Leia knows that Obi-Wan's on Tatooine and how she knows him, you know, to begin with. So
and well enough to name her child after him.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You know, that's what I thought too. You brought up the Grand Inquisitor and the Inquisitors for that matter. That looking on Wikipedia,
I'm on it right now.
They don't really mention, which I don't know if you guys noticed this or not. They don't really mention where he is from, but if you look at him, he looks like he's from Utapau. Because if you remember in episode 3, when Obi-Wan goes to Utapau to capture or kill Grievous, the race of people that are there, they have the head ridges and like the pieces that cover their ears and stuff.
Okay.
And this guy totally looks like that too.
Yeah, it could be. I didn't know that was the name of the planet actually. So
I think he is the same species. I remember looking that up.
Which is interesting because I like it when they bring people back. Like, you know, when they bring people back, it's like, okay, you know, the people from Naboo, or, you know, you've got Gungans and white people, for lack of a better term, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like how they're expanding on more alien species, I guess. It's not just a bunch of Twi'leks and humanoids and, you know, which is like, you know, why I liked the, I guess the mayor in the Book of Boba Fett, because he was like the thing that you saw in the cantina that looked like the camel octopus.
Hammerhead.
Yeah, the hammerhead. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew their name at one time, the species, but there's so many species. I'm just like, I can't remember.
Ithorian. They're Ithorian.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
is it?
I remember the character's name in episode 4 that you see in the cantina, Momona Doon. I do remember that.
And how great is that cantina scene? I mean, like it's like these Disney series are just like taking like all the characters seen in the cantina and just like making like new ones like out there just living, in the galaxy. I think it's really cool. Like
It is.
Like just see more of them doing different things.
The bounty hunter guy, the blue guy in the book of Boba Fett.
Oh, Cad Bane.
Yeah, well, he's a Duros, and there's a Duros in the cantina. So you're right. They're taking.
Oh yeah.
They're representing a lot of the species we saw in the cantina and turning them into full-fledged characters in various places.
Yeah, there's like a lot of Rhodians and stuff, and like Greedo is and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's really cool that they have such a well to pick from that one scene that was like 2 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's awesome, man. What was I gonna bring up? Oh, did anybody else think it was weird that Flea was hunting down young Leia like I did? Did it not take that from the moment for a minute? It's like, oh, really? Come on.
I hate cameos like that myself.
If you're gonna pick a rock star, couldn't there be someone more cooler than Flea? I
mean, I guess he's just like he plays that type of character. That's like if you ever notice in anything that Flea has done, he is that character. Because there's the movie, what is it that him and Anthony Kiedis are in? It's called The Chase.
That one with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, the one with Charlie Sheen. He is one of the nihilists in The Big Lebowski.
Oh, was he in that?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
He's in that. He's done this, and it's just like it seems like every role he's in is like that type of character. Like he's skeevy, and he's just there for like, I'm just here for a paycheck, man.
Yeah. Honestly, the cameo that bothered me a little more was the Indian guy from Silicon Valley. That was like the fake Jedi guy.
Yeah,
that was harder for me to suspend disbelief when I saw him than the Flea thing, because the Flea I kind of let it go, but then I'm like, hey, that's the nerd from Silicon Valley. Like it's not Star Wars. It sort of I'm not a fan of cameos like that. I'd rather it be completely unknown actors, really.
Yeah, everyone it is like the Bill Burr stuff in The Mandalorian. I'm like, what the fuck, really? I mean, like, you can't even try to do another accent. It's just like, hey, I'm Bill Burr from Boston.
Well, in the first season with him in like the prison ship and everything, the prisoner transport, yeah, I could totally get that. But when they fleshed Bill Burr out in the second season and actually gave him a backstory that was somewhat believable, I like how they did that. Like the guy that you're talking about, I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he seems like a discount Bruce Campbell in a way.
Right.
The Indian guy does, where he's just there for the comic relief sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because I think there is always characters that need to be there for the comic relief. But at least they didn't like overdo it with him, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a major problem, just a nitpick.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And I'm not a big fan of like cameos, especially in like, if it's in something else, but if it's in Star Wars, it almost does take away the suspension of disbelief.
The worst cameo of all was George Lucas in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith. I can't remember which one.
Oh, where he's the blue guy.
Yeah.
The Backstreet Boys I think were in episode 2 also.
Yeah, they were in the
Jakku, or not Jakku. What the hell am I talking about?
Geonosis.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know
they're
why
all Jedi.
I just do. I hate myself for knowing it. So.
I thought you were a supergroup fan of them or something.
Bunch of fucking undeserving individuals doing cool shit. All right, let's move on to episode 2. So this one, I'm glad it kind of got with Tatooine and gave us a different feel for like a different environment to put Obi Wan in, because like you knew that there was going to be some bounty hunters in this one, and there wasn't any notable ones, but I think it's cool that like she sent out, or Reva sent out like the SOS, like, hey, find this guy, and and everyone started looking for him. So the show did a really good job, but even though Obi-Wan's not going to die, because obviously we all know what happens, like it still had this sense of like everything closing in on him, which still induced a little bit of anxiety, which I thought was really, really cool. And the planet that they went to is called Dayu. So that was a new planet to me anyway. I thought it was Coruscant from the previews, but
I was thinking it was the one in the beginning of Rogue One where Cassian Andor kills that guy that has the hurt leg. For some reason, it looked. Called. I thought maybe it was the same one, but I looked it up too, and they're completely different.
Okay.
They're both. That's the only time both of those planets appear or occur, I think, in Star Wars.
Interesting.
But what I really liked about it was the end when Reva let Obi-Wan know that Anakin, or Darth Vader, as he was known at the end when they fought in Episode 3, was still alive and looking for him. I thought that was really awesome, and it made me start thinking like, well, maybe this character is like up to something I'm not suspecting.
Yeah,
and I almost nailed it. I was a little off toward the end, but I almost nailed my theory, which I was kind of proud of.
Does the Reva character bother you in the least? Like that's one of the major complaints I'm reading that people have, is they just don't like. They think she's a bogus character and it's not well executed. But I thought it was cool. I like all the Inquisitors and her whole story.
I'll get to my grievances later. I really did like the Grand Inquisitors up to a certain point where I was just kind of like, they kind of let me down in a way, but I'll get to that later. But as far as like the character herself, I thought she was really cool, but I didn't like her when she was yelling. She kind of got on my nerves because it's just like, I liked it better when she was more calm. She seemed more sinister and more collected. And when she starts yelling like randomly, it's kind of like, what are you yelling about? It's like, why?
Right.
Like, you're gonna give yourself away. So I don't know. I had good and bad with especially Reva, but the Inquisitors in general, I was like, like when they killed Grand Inquisitor off, like at the end, I was like, oh come on. It's like we know
he lives.
Rebels, why do they have to create this suspense that is not finite? Like at the end of like Episode 5 when they show like Luke Skywalker sleeping, it's like we know Luke's not going to die, so why tease it? I mean, it seems like a cheap tune in next week ploy to me.
To me, the issue, like where they kill the Grand Inquisitor in that episode, is I almost have to look at it as, a two different storyline type thing.
Okay.
For the easiest way I can equate it is like with professional wrestling, WWE and NXT.
Right.
The people who are on NXT and the people who know about NXT watch that, but the people who watch just WWE don't watch NXT, right? Which is the same company.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not a big fan of the Disney animation studio. Like, for everything else, Disney, it's cool. Star Wars animation with it, I'm not a big fan of. I think it looks clunky. It just does not look good to me, and I can't get into it enough. And I think we had talked about that before in the episode. The last episode, Episode 4. And so for me, it is kind of, I was like, wow, they killed the Grand Inquisitor. It's like, yeah, and I know he was alive too because of reading like synopsis and everything. But for the people that only watch the live action stuff and don't watch the animation stuff, it is there for that.
Okay, I guess you got a point on that. How big a percentage do you think is people watching this for the first time that know nothing about what happens in the future? I mean, what is it, like maybe 1%? I mean, everyone who's watching this is seeing the prequels and or the sequel trilogy and the main.
Oh, for sure.
So
it's hard to imagine. It's hard to see these shows objectively, really, because for me, they're so loaded with history and legacy that everything connects.
Right. And you go back and you're like, well, wow, that's how that happens. Because that's what I do. And the other thing, and it's in Episode 1, where I want to bring back the absolute like dickheadishness of Owen Lars. We need to talk about that.
Yeah, what is that guy's problem anyway?
I mean, I get it, but he's like, okay, you brought me this kid that's not mine, and for my brother, my stepbrother, that, and blah blah blah, and all this big galaxy stuff, and he just wants to be left the fuck alone.
Yeah, I'm kind of good with that, actually.
But it's interesting, the tag back of things, where when you see episode 4 and Luke is talking with C-3PO, and he's like, well, if you're on if there's a bright center of the universe, you're on the planet that's farthest from, and he's sitting there and he's with the toy T-16 Skyhopper flying it around. And that's the original time when Obi Wan gives it to him, which I thought was really cool. But then, of course, Owen comes up, throws it down, and breaks it, and is total Owen Lars, total dick. So,
well, we all know he gets his comings in episode 4. So you get from being an asshole, Lowen, and take Brew down with you, apparently.
Right. And I do appreciate the fact that those are the same actors and actress that played them in episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Also, Joel Eldridge, and I cannot remember her name, but yes. So I always like that. I hate recasts of things like that.
Yeah. Did you know there's a fact in episode 2, or maybe even episode 1, Brew mentions something about painting the ceiling to Owen, and in episode 4 it's still not painted. So we're talking like 20 years later.
No, I didn't know that.
It's still not done. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to episode 3. This was probably like my second favorite episode. The one where they go down on the mining planet.
Oh yeah.
What's it called here? Well, Mapuzo. Yeah, that's what it is. And we meet the I guess it's supposed to be the Trump supporting farmer guy with the truck, which cracked me up.
Yeah,
because he like turned them into like the authorities, which like a total narc move, but he was all like kind of like a hick with the weird tentacles and shit, beat up speeder truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy cracked me up, man. I'm glad they didn't kill him off, because he was a good character. I enjoyed him. But yeah, man, like I said, this is like more like that tension stuff, like that closing in when all the stormtroopers jump on the back for a ride.
It was pretty tense. I mean, it worked for me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Ooh, no, they're gonna get busted."
I thought that was so cool, man. It's like, yeah, come on in, guys, jump in, and like everyone's like, oh fuck, and Leia's a super annoying little girl. Like, I guess most little girls that age would be, even though sometimes it was like, you're 10 years old. How the hell do you know to talk like this? Sometimes it's like the most grown up shit. I don't even talk like that, and I'm 42, So, yeah, she kind of got my nerves sometimes. It's like, don't run, and Leia would run off. It's like, yeah, I could see it totally.
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
What do you think about, because you know what's happening with in episode 4 when you meet Luke and Obi Wan, and he does these are not the droids you're looking for, the mind trick.
Yeah.
So he has no real Jedi ability right now.
Right.
In that episode 3 of the show.
Yeah.
So were either of you expecting him to try the Jedi mind trick to the stormtroopers?
I did. I honestly thought he was.
Yeah.
Out, but apparently, the way it ended with episode 6 is he goes for more training, is what I'm gathering at the end of the
right.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a sequel, maybe it's more of that, showing that possibly. I don't know. But
another plot point that someone's pointed out that I have to kind of agree with is, we see in this series how much interaction Leia has with Obi Wan.
Mm-hmm.
But in A New Hope, when he's killed on the Death Star, she just kind of gets over it really quickly, and she's actually consoling Luke, who's all upset that he lost Ben, and she seems like the one who would be like, "Oh my God."
You would think, yeah.
Distraught, but I don't know, maybe she sort of more in tune with the whole Jedi thing and realized he's just became one with the Force.
Maybe
That's how I reconcile it.
Maybe we'll call it slight oversight by the writing. I don't know.
Right. Or what about the factor of it being like, for them, she's a politician, you know, essentially she's a politician. So she knows that for them to escape, he had to sacrifice himself to get out.
Yeah.
You know, that could be a factor of it. Yeah, she's distraught, but gotta stay strong. Because, like, you know, she already knew that there was a tracker on the ship to begin with. Why? Because they did it with the droid before.
Her droid.
Yeah, with her droid back in the series, which is like the same thing of why the docking clamps on the Star Destroyer didn't work for Han, because it worked for Obi Wan in Episode 2. You know,
right?
And Boba Fett had knew about it before, so it's kind of like that thing where they do it after the fact, but they explain it after the fact of why it works.
Yeah. So, what did everybody think of Vader showing up in this episode and all his badassness?
I thought he was awesome. It was the most evil we've ever seen him.
Yes, exactly. I think the Disney stuff has nailed Vader from Rogue One and this like pretty damn well, actually.
Even more evil than killing children.
On his walk, where he was breaking the people's back and throwing them around, and dragged that guy behind him, that just was like total frustrated Anakin. I believed it.
Yeah, that is pretty rough. Where he shows up and Obi-Wan's trying to run from him, that, you know, that's what felt like total slasher film, like Friday the 13th.
It's a good point. Yeah, it's like he walks slow, but he always catches up somehow. You know, it's like,
right.
Yeah, I can see that now. That's actually a really good comparison. I like that.
You know, and he's like, and what have you become? I'm what you made me. You know, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
It struck me that Vader gave up a little easy when that fight where they had the rocks that were on fire.
Yeah.
And then the Imperial spy set it back on fire, and the troopers were just like, we can't get across. And then presumably Vader just kind of lets them go. And someone explained it to me that Vader's just toying with him, like he knew that they'd meet again. But my first impression was, well, Darth Vader would be a little more persistent. He'd just go around that fire and keep on hacking away, you know. But again, that's a logical explanation. Maybe he was just letting him go to fight again another day or something.
I mean, like a force movement would probably just part the seas or the flames for him to walk through it.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't like fire much because, you know, Obi-Wan pretty much introduced him to what it's like to be but yeah. I mean,
but
like,
he also has But he also has a castle that with lava that runs through it.
Exactly.
Though.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, it's not the heat.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny if someone made a series like something on like HGTV, but it's like remodeling like Star Wars,
Vader's castle.
We piped in this lava through the baseboard heaters for those cold winters, you know. Mustafar here.
Wow, that's great.
That'd be good stuff. I'd watch that.
It has a great lake of fire view.
And it's always dark. For some reason, the sun does not shine here.
Right. Right.
Good stuff. Did everybody like
take it?
List it or leave it?
Right.
Or choke the motherfucker out, did you?
The Property Brothers or whatever they're called.
Oh God, yeah.
The twins.
Yeah. And also we got a new droid classification too, the NEDs, which are the worker robots that were pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
The ones that can't talk.
Yeah. Yeah, they just kind of.
There's an action figure coming already.
Yeah, I know there's a Black Series figure for pretty much every new character in all the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get are you getting that one?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty into the Black Series figure, so I'll probably get that Ned guy.
Yeah. The Black Series are great because the articulation is so good on them.
The new Galaxy series, the packaging's pretty neat too. They look cool on a shelf, kind of lined up. They form a panoramic mural
Oh,
when
nice.
you
Oh,
put
cool.
them next to each other on their side.
Oh, okay.
Pretty
That's
cool.
pretty cool. I didn't know that. It's kind of the Iron Maiden
Yeah.
CDs. The spines all have the
The
first
first album.
album
Yeah.
artwork. If you put them all together, it like
Mhm.
makes it like a nice rectangle in your CD collection.
Yep.
I feel like we saw those loader droids somewhere else though, in some previous movie. I can't remember where. Maybe they're different loader droids.
Well, they do kind of resemble the floating, like the flying droids in Mustafar, where they've got like the bulkiness to them, where they're lifting the lava
yeah.
out of the pits. They do have a similar look to some of those, but I don't think they're not the same. I don't think.
I know what you mean now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about for that episode 2 droids. The ones on the conveyor belt. Like when Anakin and Padme.
Well, those are really similar to the ones on Mustafar that are taking the lava out of the river.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought
But
the
the
ones on.
Ned one,
Go ahead.
just the Ned ones, the ones that was painted yellow like him. I swear I've seen that someplace before, but maybe it's just my imagination.
It could be. You could have read it in the EU stuff also, maybe.
That
I know,
could be.
I know a lot of the ideas for these Disney shows were lifted right from the EU that they decanonized, so they could use it again.
A
Like,
lot of stuff
"Hey, do it
happened,
again."
like in the Clone Wars. In the Clone Wars series, there's all kinds of background stuff, and or even the Bad Batch. It could have been seen him in the background there or something like that.
That could be.
Does anybody like the new Imperial spy Tala? Did anybody really like that character too much, or was she just kind of?
I did. I think she was a better fleshed out character than Hux in the sequel series.
Yes, well,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Domhnall Gleeson, I like him as an actor. Even from the Harry Potter stuff, and obviously his family lineage of actors is great, but I think she was more fleshed out as a character. More screen time of her actually doing quote the right thing.
Yeah, I thought her character was pretty cool, being a spy, double agent in a sense, essentially. So it gave some pretty good contrast when she was with the third sister, talking to the third sister, like trying to outsmart her with just words and protocol that third sister might not know and stuff like that. So it made it
a good scene.
Like I said, it made it tense and everything too, and also and also she had a complete arc because she dies in the 5th episode. So she was like short lived, but kind of necessary to the story, because when she blasted the stormtroopers at the gate on episode 3, you're like, man, who is this? This is cool. It always reminded me how good the idea of a turncoat stormtrooper could have been if they just stayed with it for the sequel trilogy, instead of just abandoning it and turning Finn into just another dude.
Well, yeah, it like if you had taken, if you're familiar with the expanded universe stuff from the the original before Disney purchase, like the Davin Felth character, where he was like a police officer on a planet. They basically took him to be a stormtrooper, and he's a double agent stormtrooper.
Nice.
So yeah, that would really have been awesome.
Yeah. But I have to say, this one was probably the worst episode of the 6 because it followed the first Vader episode. So it was kind of like you had to take a breather to get to the next good stuff, which was
But I do want to ask about this for you guys. What did you think of, when they showed Anakin at the end, at the end of episode 2, and then where he's getting put back together?
Yep.
After he's in the back of the tank, and you see his eyes and everything, and then you see like the suit being put on him this time. More of the stuff, like in episode 3 when he first gets put in the suit, you see somewhat of what's going on, but this is like it's down to a science at this point. It's just like It's like watching the pit crew at NASCAR. It's so fast and everything.
Yeah.
And what did you guys think of that?
It was cool.
It definitely communicated how messed up he is.
Yeah.
Like he really is barely human and kind of on life support. Like his suit is sort of life support system as much as it is prosthetics. So like when I saw it, I was kind of like, wow, dude is really kind of messed up actually. You got that impression much more than just seeing his helmet being put on in Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, yeah, I think though, like Obi Wan left him pretty much torso up from a torso up and one arm. So
yeah, I mean,
and burned all over because
he really is Monty Python's Black Knight.
Yeah. Do you think Vader could almost be considered a droid?
No, I think he is. I think he's more like cybernetic.
Okay.
Because like Grievous is not a droid.
Yeah, Grievous is a brain, or at least a nervous system inside that suit.
Right. There's the brain and his internal organs and everything. That's why the Grievous character was even made. It was what George Lucas had explained. It was a real archaic design of what Vader is, like the next step up for.
Gotcha. Okay.
So like, if you notice, like when Obi Wan peels back Grievous's chest plate, there's it's all his like internal organs and stuff in there. So yeah. So Vader, being a torso essentially, and a torso and head with no arms and no legs, and there is that.
I read somewhere that the Emperor made sure that no anesthesia was used during his whole, so that the pain would just sort of fuel his hatred and misery even worse, which is kind of
that's an expanded
sad.
Universe legend thing, which that's messed up. But it makes total sense too that the Emperor would do that because again, fuels that hate.
Mm-hmm.
But he also, I think, the other thing that I've read from expanded universe stuff is that he's not state of the art. He's just there. The Emperor keeps him alive barely with that stuff because it's not like the best tech.
Right.
It basically keeps him having to come back and keep using the same stuff and rebuilding the same stuff to try and just stay alive because he doesn't want to be. If he's got the best tech, he could overthrow the Emperor.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys do a lot of research on this expanded universe stuff. I had no idea about any of it. I learn something new every time.
The EU is great, and I wish they did more stories from the EU, but I know why they don't. So
yeah, a lot of it sounds pretty dark and demented, actually. So
it is. Yeah. Some of it is for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to episode 5 here. So this is the one where Reva exposes herself as or gets exposed as a youngling that Anakin didn't kill, which I thought was a really cool twist. And this is kind of where I lost my faith in the Grand Inquisitor stuff because everything just seemed like too convenient. Like Reva just knew everything, and then Vader knew that she knew everything. And the Grand Inquisitor came back and was like, I knew everything too, bitch. Like basically. And they didn't kill her, stabbed her, which I thought was weird because she lived and Qui-Gon died, from a single stab wound. So yeah, this is where I kind of lost the Inquisitors as man, these are really cool, but now it's just kind of they're just really convenient now. Like they just know everything and nothing's a surprise to them and everything. But when Vader busted in that room and grabbed the fucking ship after it took off and pulled the fucking door off, I was like, God damn, this is fucking awesome, man. I love this shit. Like the more destructive Vader.
They're making him very scary.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job of making him a very intimidating character.
So fucking good,
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
I was like, come on. Like you have no. I don't know. Like, why did you do all this if you're not going to die? I don't know.
Right.
Just there was. How do I put this? It just the character was written for convenience to move the story along. to me. I don't know. I just lost the Inquisitor enthusiasm after this one.
Right. And do you think they wrote, because we've never seen Vader do that before, and I think it's because it's limited knowledge, I guess. I guess because when you originally see Vader in the original trilogy, you only see him choke out people. You know, you never see him use any other Force effects really, other than when he's dueling Luke and he's just throwing the boxes and shit at Luke, right? But you never see him use anything else other than a Force choke. Do you think they wrote that scene with the ship in there to further advance the Ben Solo story? Because you've seen it with Ben Solo in what is that? Is that in The Last Jedi? Or no, Rise of Skywalker?
Oh, where he's holding a ship back. Yeah.
Yeah, where he holds the ship back that Chewie's believed to be on. Do you think they wrote it in because of that? Because him being Vader's grandson?
I mean, I think they put a lot of stuff in there because like the dark side is never really flushed out in the original trilogy. It's only like this, like kind of like the dark side of the Force. But like when you thought about it before these shows, like so the dark side of the Force is basically Force choking and throwing boxes around. It's like, is it really
and lightning?
Well, yeah, it's like, is it really that big a deal? But in these, in Rogue One, when he's just like fucking people up, you know, with like the damn flick of his hand or flick of his wrist and stuff, I was like, wow, this is some good shit. And when he busted the lightsaber in half and like threatened her and like threw it down at her and she picked it up, then he just like took it away from her again and stabbed her. You know, I was like, that she should have died to show how badass Vader was. Like, no mercy. Like, this is going down, you know.
I agree that it would have been better if she died there.
Yeah,
It was kind of cheesy that she lived somehow.
Because she picked up like the tricorder, or not tricorder, I'm talking Star Trek here. Tricorder. You can talk some Star Trek if you want. The hologram messaging systems.
And gets the transmission about that.
Yeah, and then Bail Organa is like talking about, you know, Luke, and she sees it and like puts it together like, oh, Vader has a son, you know.
Right, like all of a sudden.
Yeah, and somehow finds a ship and flies to Tatooine. I'm like, okay, how'd you get here? You know, like Vader fucked the ship up. There's no ship around in the picture in the last episode, but
what I want to like ask is, what did you think of the opening scene of this episode, where it's Anakin and Obi Wan practicing from between episodes 2 and 3?
I forgot about that. Yeah,
and
that was really cool.
That was good.
I don't know about you guys, but when I saw it, I'm like, okay, Obi-Wan's dreaming about this, and then all of a sudden they cut to Vader's face thinking about it.
Yeah,
and I was like, holy shit, it's like Vader's thinking about this. That's insane, you know. Because he had just got away. Obi-Wan had just got away from him. So, you know, through the episode, the 2 or 3 times that they went back to it, I thought was really interesting, because the first time it's visible that they want you to know that Vader's the one thinking about this, and then later on they want you to see that Obi-Wan is thinking of the same time. So like this, they're like this, you know, this link between each other.
It was a really good way to show that ultimately Obi-Wan is the better fighter, the more patient and wise fighter, and that Anakin's emotions got the better of him. So it's sort of foreshadowing of what was to come in their big showdown.
Definitely. So what did you guys think? I always pay attention to this as well. Fighting styles. Obviously, you know, with the prequels, the original and the sequels, you see many different Force users use lightsabers, and they all fight different. In episode 5, when you see Luke and
Vader.
So, yeah, sorry, I keep getting somebody messaging me. When you see Luke and Vader on Cloud City fight, Vader has a very one-handed technique, where he knows that Luke is not up to snuff to fight with him. So he's just toying with him. And it goes back into the Obi Wan series where he's doing that when they dueled on the salvage planet, the farming planet, where he tries to burn Obi Wan. He's one-handed, he's doing his thing, and just it's like he's toying with Obi Wan.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And so much, in fact, that I think it was like, because when you saw them duel in episode 3, they were balls to the wall. Like, they were ready to kill each other. This, like, it didn't seem like that this time.
True.
I got the kind of opposite impression. Like, I got the impression like Obi-Wan was kind of reluctant to fight when Vader was like all like into it. Because Obi-Wan was like still like relearning to, use the Force in a way. And
yeah, he definitely did not perform too well.
Yeah, he was like very out of sorts. Where like like in Unforgiven, when he goes out there and shooting at the cans and misses everyone with the pistol, it just comes out with the fucking shotgun and fucking nails it. That's how it's done,
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to episode 6 real quick, because I know Joe's got to go pretty soon.
Okay.
So the final Vader fight. Were you hoping that when he knocked Obi-Wan into the rocks that he would say, "I have the high ground"? Because I was like, man, like, I wanted to say it, but he didn't.
That didn't occur to me. No,
it didn't me either. But like when he brings hell upon Obi-Wan in that scene,
when he cracks the earth, or whatever,
with the lightsaber, I was like, whoa. It's like
I thought that whole episode was just fantastic. That was a nearly perfect episode to me. Even the end, the gifts they give you where he says hello there, and all the tie-ins and stuff, it just sort of put a bow on it all for me.
Yeah, it had the obviously Qui-Gon shows up as a ghost finally, and the Emperor communicates, which I thought was really cool too. Like,
those scenes on the Star Destroyers, the scenes on the bridge of the Star Destroyers, which are so familiar from like the original trilogy, was pretty cool. They're just really familiar.
Yeah, the only thing I thought was weird is when they were pursuing the ship after from episode 5 when it got away, and the Grand Inquisitor is like, no, we need to follow the other ship. I was like, well, your job is to hunt down Jedi, so why wouldn't you follow Obi-Wan? Like, he's right there.
True.
But unless the Grand Inquisitor knew that Leia, or they suspected there was another Jedi on the ship that was an easier target, maybe. But like I said, when the Grand Inquisitor was like, no, we need to follow the other ships, like, well, I mean, that's your prime directive is hunt down Jedis. So why wouldn't you hunt down?
Why were you trying to kill the Rebel Alliance before it was an alliance?
Yeah, something like that. So I mean, I thought it was kind of weird, but that and Reva just going to hunt down Luke Skywalker and just bringing him back, I was like, oh, okay, I guess. It's like
one thing that was on my mind during that Tatooine scene when he was at the Lars homestead. Is that okay? We know Luke has never seen a lightsaber, because when Ben shows him one, he's like never even knew they existed. So I'm like, he better not see Reva's lightsaber, because then we're gonna know that Luke has seen a lightsaber. But they did it well. Luke was leaving the room as Reva was coming in, and it's like they separated it perfectly. So Luke remained ignorant.
Very good catch, Joe. Very good catch.
Another thing I thought was weird is like Owen and Beru like jumped the gun shooting the lasers.
Yeah.
Blaster rifles, and like, because like she like was like still looking. It's like, why didn't she just wait till she saw you and then try to blast her? Like, maybe you can get away without conflict. Obviously when you go up against her. I don't know if she was really a Jedi per se, but someone obviously more skilled than you are.
I just thought of something terrible.
What was that?
It's kind of ironic that the Lars family were killed by stormtroopers, because they shoot just the same.
Yeah, that's true too. I never thought about that. Yeah, that
He
is
was a terrible shot, dude. He kept like missing clear shots. It looked like.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost point blank at some points. It's like damn. But
But Baru and Owen are so fried. I feel like I've always thought they were shot with something more than just blasters. Like they must have been shot with like from a vehicle or something, because their corpses are completely incinerated, you know.
I thought
Right.
they put the place on fire. They set the place on fire, didn't they?
Yeah.
That could be. That
I
could
think
be.
they attacked the homestead and they tried to get out. But on the duel, you know, so you get like the pit and everything, but when Obi Wan comes back and just, you know, basically raises hell on Vader, was completely badass. Like he picks up all the rocks at one time. It's like he's, you know, full force effect at that point and just lets Vader have it. And the play and just the dialogue of like the play of lights from the lightsabers, where when he cuts the mask open and like Vader's almost dead again, and how he how Vader has the blue sheen to his face from the reflected light of Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and it's like it's like they're playing on the good side of Anakin.
Yeah.
And then he makes the comment of saying that, you know, your biggest mistake is you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. And then his red lightsaber takes over the light of the scene and makes him
That's interesting. I'll have to watch that again.
I also like how he went back and forth between Anakin and Darth Vader voice. Like his
that was neat.
was like shorting out sometimes.
Yes. Kind of like at the end of Jedi, when, you know, when Sebastian Shaw's voice is coming through the helmet as well as James Earl Jones's voice is. Right. Yeah, it was doing the same thing there. And it's totally fucking like, it's a great way they did it, I think. And just like the makeup effects were so good. Like you see like the big scarring under the eye, like what Sebastian Shaw had in the makeup is in there. You know, it's just totally cool. And it's just like those red and yellow eyes, you know, just to see that is totally cool.
Hey, real quick before Joe has to go, I wanted to ask a couple questions to you guys, and me and Mark will finish up the conversation. Do you think, were you expecting Mace Windu to show up and be like, yeah, that's my daughter, and walk off with Reva? Because
no, that never occurred to me.
No, me either.
Because this is like prequel focused stuff. So I was like, who are they going to bring out from the prequels? You know,
when he was in that,
I had a feeling
when he was walking,
show up, but
when he was walking through that Jedi, where the dead Jedi were suspended, and the artifact, the Hall of Artifacts or whatever.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
I was thinking we were going to see something more significant in there that tied into something, but it wasn't really.
Apparently, my stepson said that there's a Rebels, not Rebels, but there's a Clone Wars character in there. That was like the first action adaptation, but he was dead. So I can't remember his name, but he said it's pretty major for a few seasons.
Interesting.
And what the other thing is, Joe, is do you think any Star Wars show will ever have the balls to have Jar Jar show back up? Even the cameo.
Well, there's a book series, the Aftermath series.
Okay.
The third book explains or tells you what happens to Jar Jar.
What happened?
What he's up to. Well, he's basically acting as like a street performer and a clown on some backwater planet, and entertaining children, and he's sort of known as this crazy lunatic that sort of juggles and stuff in the street for change, and that's it. And he feels very guilty about his role in starting the Clone Wars by voting however he voted. So I don't know, being that they may throw him in there somewhere, but I don't think they're going to have like a they would never have the balls to make a series.
Yeah, I'm just like,
I can-
as like a cameo. Like if they go to that planet, like they're like walking down the street and there's like,
I can see that happening. Yeah.
to me, it'd be like a fuck you. What are you gonna do about it? Kind of moment to me. Is like, what are you gonna not
Yeah.
watch anymore? I would totally throw them in there somewhere just to piss people off. Get them
You know what's interesting to me about that, Jason?
Hey guys, I'm gonna drop. I gotta run.
All right, Joe.
Oh.
Appreciate it, man.
Joe, thanks, Joe.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. What's interesting to me about that is they don't put any other Gungans in any other place.
Jar Jar ruined the Gungans for everybody.
He did. Like, you never see the Gungans in, like, they're not on Dayu. They're,
Well, as far as I know, they just live underneath the ocean of Naboo. So if you never went back to Naboo, I guess there would be no reason to ever see them.
Right, for sure. One of the things for me that I was like hesitant on, and I really wish they would have brought it up, is you've read the original novelizations and stuff, right?
For the original trilogy?
Yes.
No, I never have.
Okay. In the scene, and here's what Disney had said when they purchased Lucasfilm, was the only thing that remained canon were the films.
Yep.
And the novelizations of. Everything else was fair game.
Okay.
So you had, like any Caravan of Courage is still considered legend because it's produced by Lucasfilm, but it's not necessarily, it's like a Rogue One. It's a Star Wars story.
Oh, like the Ewok movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now in the novelization of Return of the Jedi, the scene on Dagobah with Obi-Wan and Luke is a lot longer. And more things get told what happens when Luke is, he's like, so that's why your sister was left completely anonymous. And he's like, Leia. And he goes, and he explains, he's like, your intuition served you well. I had taken you to live with my brother on Tatooine. Talking about Owen Lars.
Yeah.
So the big elephant in that episode where Leia and Obi-Wan are talking, and he goes, I think I remembered a brother, and blah, blah, blah. It's Owen Lars, which is totally cool because they kind of hinted at it in episode 2 when Anakin and Padme go back to Tatooine to rescue Shmi, and there's two adult-sized tombstones, and there's a child-sized tombstone at the Lars homestead.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like they recognized Obi-Wan's force sensitivity. They took him, Klieg Lars, filled it to Owen's head that the Jedi are, evil, don't trust them, blah, blah, blah. They took my son and he's dead to me, kind of thing.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess I can see that. Maybe that's why Owen hates Obi-Wan so much, because he's his brother. Okay.
But does he know that he's his brother? That's the thing.
This is true. But yeah, but Obi-Wan mentioned that he kind of remembered a brother. So I don't know if he was Owen was a brother or not.
But that's what I'm saying. Would Owen know that Obi-Wan was his brother? So instead, it's like Obi-Wan Lars.
Well, was Obi-Wan really upset when he found out that the house was burned and they were burnt to a crisp outside? But no, Luke. Let's see. Luke just showed back up on that. Yeah, Luke went back by himself. So
yeah, he went back by himself.
Obi-Wan still had to know. Like,
he absolutely knew, because he told him not to go back.
Right.
He knew that they would be dead.
Man, there's so much stuff you could just like draw like a damn dots on a board and just be like, okay, this could go to this, and this could go to this.
What's the meme where the guy, I guess is he on like Parks and Rec or whatever, where he's got,
I know, it's from Always Sunny.
Always Sunny, where he's like on the wall and like poet like the big conspiracy theorist thing.
Yeah, I feel like that sometimes myself. So yeah, man. Like I said, I think if they do season 2, it'll be continuing Obi-Wan's training, and they'll probably flush out Reva a little bit more. Like maybe Obi-Wan will train Reva, possibly.
I don't know. See, the plot holes to me are the ones like, okay, where's Ahsoka right now?
Mhm.
Where is she? And I know she goes into hiding and into like deeper training and stuff, but it's just like, there's still, here we are 10 years after Order 66, they're still hunting fringe Jedi. And the way it seems is like they kind of still are by Rogue One, which is days before Episode 4, which is another 10 years from now.
Right.
So it almost seems like, and then when you get to later on in the sequel series, the sequel trilogy, it makes you wonder about like the stuff with Boba Fett, like where's Grogu and that stuff,
Yeah.
In the sequel trilogy. And I mean, because it kind of already let it out of the bag, either he dies or he just goes to hiding somewhere.
Yeah. A lot of people think that Grogu was going to be talking. A lot of people think that the Boba Fett, or not Boba Fett, the Mandalorian series is going to go into the sequel trilogy era, because apparently people are saying that Grogu should be in Luke's Jedi Academy. But like I said before, in Boba Fett, he chooses and he goes back to Din Djarin. So
yeah,
I don't think there's any going back once you don't go with the master. I don't think you get a second chance if you don't go
right.
So I don't know. Like I said, hopefully that the Mandalorian writers can make the sequel trilogy better just from filling in some gaps, like Snoke, for instance, shit like that. Because nobody really knows what Snoke was. Was he the Emperor again? Nobody knows because they chopped him in half.
Right.
So,
which this brings me to the new stuff, the new shows. What do you think of some of these things that have been talked about that are supposed, like the Cassian Andor series?
Yeah.
And the Acolyte, which the Acolyte takes place 100 years before Episode 1.
So let me start with the Acolyte first. I've been watching a series that the writer for the Acolyte is done called Russian Doll. And me and my wife have been watching it, and the writing on it is actually really good. So I'm not too worried about the writing because it's really sci-fi, even though it's like urban comedy, kind of like it takes place.
Right.
But it's a sci-fi element to the show that makes it interesting.
Definitely.
So I don't really know what it's about, and you know what? If they just released it one day with no previews, I'd be down with that too. I think surprise dropping shows could be really cool and get a lot of buzz going.
Definitely.
But
with it being 100 years before Episode 1,
yeah.
I mean, and it does have to deal with like one of the first like Sith of the new era.
I was gonna say, I think it's a Sith focused show.
So to me, yeah, it is. It's absolutely a Sith focused show because apparently the way it's explained in Star Wars now is there were no Sith for 1,000 years.
Right.
And then all of a sudden there they were again. And I think that's what the Acolyte has to tie into.
You think it could be Darth Plagueis?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely pre-Darth Plagueis, which that's an interesting scene too in the novelization of Revenge of the Sith versus the film of Revenge of the Sith. Because in the film, Palpatine doesn't tell you he kills him.
Right.
In the book, he does. In the book, he flat out, he goes, he taught me everything I knew and I killed him for it.
Yeah.
Something like that. And you don't get that in the movie, which is interesting. But yeah, I think it's totally pre-Darth Plagueis, but it's also 100 years before Episode 1.
Yeah.
So there's only one character that's still alive.
Palpatine.
And Yoda.
Oh, true. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this Yoda's Vader? You know what I'm saying? Like he spares his life or something, that's what I'm interested in.
Could be. I hope Frank Oz does the voice if Yoda is in it, because that would be a damn shame if he
No, it's somebody else.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, my thing is this. It's like Kermit. Okay. And of course, that's what George Lucas had always said is like, well, he's a model of Kermit. He's like Kermit that's like 900 years old and whatnot, which Kermit doesn't sound the same as Kermit did when Jim Henson did the voice. He sounds a lot like him, but he's not the same voice. And anything that Jim Henson, like Rolf the dog, hey man, he's not the same. So I get that. And I really wish they would do something with Frank Oz like they did with James Earl Jones, where they just go in and record tons of dialogue in single words so they can piece together everything.
Yeah, same with Ian McDermott now, apparently too, with him coming back as the Emperor just for that one scene. So that was Ian McDermott too, even though it was digital. So it was like you can manipulate the blue, communication.
No, that was actually him.
Oh, was it?
That was Ian McDermott in the makeup. That was not a digital recreation.
I just figured they just used something from another movie or something and just kind of blurred it a little bit and put it in.
No, they actually altered the makeup to where it matched. It was like a good blend between 3 and 6.
Okay.
Because if you notice when in episode 6, when you see him, he looks a little bit more crusty.
Yeah.
Than when you see him with fresh scars in episode 3.
Man, the thing about episode 3 that kills me the most is like when he's like Chancellor Palpatine and then turns into Emperor Palpatine. That scene is just so over the top when he just like starts screaming and
like Hitler, like the first galactic empire.
Yeah. It's like, man, it kills me without watching. It's just so fucking over the top. Like, man, who thought this was like a good idea to put it?
You know what I really wish that scene had in it when he did that?
What?
When he raises his hands up, like the deal, and he's like, "First Galactic Empire." If he just force lightning the Senate.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would have been pretty awesome. Like, just I'm taking over this town kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I'm taking over this town. And then you get the one scene that, the super political Padme scene. So this is how liberty died.
Yeah.
With thunderous applause. I get that, but I don't think it was needed. But here's another one that's apparently, did you know there's a Jude Law series that's coming out also called Skeleton Crew?
It's called Skeleton Crew. Yeah. I read that when they released the roadmap for the next few years.
And it takes place in the same time period as The Mandalorian.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it takes place after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So, I mean, and that's a big 30-year gap. So I'm really into that deal. I like the stuff where they're coming into the deal where it's, it is, Rogue One, Solo, all of whatever the other film is, the Lando film that's supposed to be in that same time period too.
It's not really needed, but okay.
You're right. The Lando film is not needed, and they don't even know if Donald Glover's coming back for it.
Yeah. That's
the other thing, which I hate recasts. Maybe he could be a Donald Glover clone or something.
I mean, maybe if they had like Billy D. Williams like sitting around like a card table telling him stories when he was younger, and then go to Donald.
Oh, like the young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it could be a cool idea, but like, really, what are you going to show except for like setting up Cloud City? I mean, is Cloud City that interesting to have a series? It's like, because we already know he lost the ship to Han Solo in a card game.
But he wins a city in a card game.
It was told, and then it was shown, and everyone already kind of knew that. But I don't know. Like I said, it's just that oversaturation of like giving everyone a series that doesn't really need one.
Exactly, because it feeds nostalgia. But what I also think is interesting too is there's also a few other films that are set to release over the next like 5 years. There's supposed to be a Kevin Feige film, which is interesting because Kevin Feige is the Marvel guru at this point. But you also have a Taika Waititi film, which he's tied to The Mandalorian because he's the IG-11 voice, and I think he directed an episode or two in the first season.
Yeah, he did.
And then there's also talk of a Sam Raimi Star Wars film.
Really? A Sam Raimi would be pretty cool because Bruce Campbell would end up showing up in it.
Of course. And so would Ted Raimi. Which would be awesome if they let him do it like Sam Raimi would do a film. And if they did, because ultimately in Sam Raimi films, if you've ever noticed, even on the stuff, even like on Hercules and Xena, when he was directing those, there's total callbacks to the Evil Dead trilogy in them, you know, which would be, and like there's total callback to the Evil Dead trilogies and the Spider-Man films that he has done, which would be totally cool if they did that to, you know, not just the Bruce Campbell aspect, the cameo of Bruce Campbell, but, you know, I seriously think like there's been some somewhat gory scenes in Star Wars now. You know, to me, there's not a lot of blood in it, but like the duel of Obi Wan and Vader on in episode 6 of the Obi Wan series, that's pretty gory to me.
For Star Wars, it is. Yeah.
For Star Wars, it absolutely is. I mean, what's the biggest thing you get in Star Wars? You get somebody's arm cut off, somebody gets stabbed, but that's and aside from like the Lars family, right? The skeletons. Yeah. But I mean, that's pretty gory as to the design of it's mentally anguish at that point. It's like a psychological horror because you see the Vader thing of where he's saying, you didn't kill Anakin, I did. You know, that thing is, to me, is wow. You know, that's like a mental thing. Yeah. It's like mental horror to me. It's like Phantasm almost.
That was cool. That was cool. Like that both duels were cool in their own way, but the one on episode 6 was, man, that was just some stuff I was not expecting to happen, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was more violent than I thought it was going to be. Like, because the duel on episode 3, like the movie episode 3,
right?
I mean, it wasn't really gory. I mean, like, because I think what it is when you cut someone with a lightsaber, like it instantly like cauterizes the wound because
you would think, yeah.
So that's why I don't use a lot of blood, even though I can name 2 instances. Episode 1. When Obi-Wan cuts Darth Maul in half, it has that spray of blood that comes up.
Yep.
And then in episode 4, when Obi-Wan cuts off, well, Obi-Wan does a lot of damage. Apparently, Obi-Wan's out there cutting a lot of people up. But in episode 4, when he cuts off the arm of the one creature in the cantina, and it shows
Ponda Boba.
Yeah, it shows blood on that. But other than that, no, Star Wars doesn't really have any gore or nothing. Because I guess the lasers, when you shoot someone with a laser or cut with a lightsaber, the wound gets cauterized because it's all heat and energy, you know.
You know what? Now that I think of it, let's go back and look here really fast.
Okay.
Darth Maul.
Yeah.
He cuts in half.
Yes. Darth Vader, he cuts in 3/4.
Hang on. No, there's even before that. Darth Maul, he cuts in half in episode 1. In episode 2, he totally cuts the arm off of Zam Wessel in the bar on Coruscant.
Is that the
changeling?
Changeling, okay.
The changeling. In episode 3, he kills Grievous and he cuts Anakin down, literally. In episode 4, he does the cantina scene where he cuts the arm off of the Ponda Boba and the doctor, and then he dies.
So Anakin might be more of a hero than Darth Vader is, the way it's looking.
Yeah. So but I mean, they're all, wow, he's like got a hell of a count, not to mention all of the stuff that he does in like the Clone Wars and, you know, in those series and stuff.
Yeah.
So interesting. Which that was an interesting point too, is in episode 2 when they go to Dayu or whatever.
It was. I think it was episode 2. Yeah.
When they go to episode 2 there, and there's a clone trooper, a bum clone trooper that Obi-Wan sees sitting down, and he's got his clone trooper helmet upside down collecting money.
Oh yeah, that was Boba Fett, the same actor who played Boba Fett.
Yeah, Tamara Morrison.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I was going to mention.
What? Okay, so check this out. The rumor is, like the fan rumor of all that is Commander Cody from episode 3.
Oh, okay. I thought it'd be like Rex or something, maybe from Clone Wars.
No, because Rex is still part of the Alliance. because in episode 6, there's an when they're on Endor trying to take down the shield generator, there's an old man that's in the scene, and Disney confirmed that was Rex.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that Rex is still alive in episode 6, and he's still fighting for the rebellion.
Nice. Okay.
He's just like super. There's like one super white-haired old guy in there, and they're like, and it was a fan thing where like, oh, that's Rex, because it would make sense. He's that old, and then Disney was just like, you know what, we'll give him this. That's Rex.
You can have it.
But apparently, that's Commander. They're saying that that's Commander Cody, because he had the blue stripe on the helmet, which was Obi Wan's battalion stripe when he was a general in the Clone Wars and stuff. So that to me is like, and that's why Obi Wan did not acknowledge him, because Cody would know who he was, and he would still have that ingrained Order 66 thing in him.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's a cool theory.
That is a definite interesting theory, and I like stuff like that it's open-ended to where you can assume that as a fan, because that's what I like about Star Wars, is that you can assume things like that, and until it's proved otherwise, that's like, that expands the universe even more. And I think that's where excuse me, where people like Timothy Zahn, who wrote the Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command, where stuff like that gets, that pollinated germ, that spreads into these 3 books.
Yeah, man, there's so much little stuff I wish I knew, like that would enhance everything. I mean, like when I see stuff I recognize like an Easter egg, I get all excited. Like in the Mandalorian, in the first episode, when he's talking about Life Day, I was like, I knew that was from the Christmas special.
Right.
Because that special is so goddamn horrendous. I never forgot like the beginning of Han and Chewie going to see Chewie's family on Life Day, and then seeing Chewie's family, how cheap the costumes were compared to Chewie's costume. I'm like, dude, what is going on with this?
Absolutely.
It's so bad.
Do you own the Blu-ray edition of the Star Wars trilogy, or the first 6 films, where it's like, you're reaching for it? So
yeah,
no, not that one.
Oh, not this one.
No, not that one. It's the 6-film Blu-ray set.
Oh no, I just have the original trilogy.
Okay, so the 6-film Blu-ray set on, I believe it's on either on one of the special discs, like the supplemental material.
Yeah.
Because they talk about like weapons and stuff on there, and it talks about like Boba Fett's armor and stuff. It might be on the Empire Strikes Back one, actually, because that's when he makes his screen debut as an adult. But if you select it's like an Easter egg on the DVD or Blu-ray, that once you select the Boba Fett stuff, it will play the Christmas special with him.
Just
like
his part.
His part, yeah, the animated part. Hello, friend. And I know there's a guy on YouTube who put out a trailer about a year ago. He was doing a 4K HD remaster of it on his own.
Oh wow!
Of the whole show, like the 1.5-hour show.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for it, because he's not like Lucasfilm like affiliated or anything, and it's going to be like an awesome 4K restoration.
You can watch the whole thing on YouTube. I've watched it in the past 5 years just to
it's
what it was again. It was pretty bad, but
it is.
It's terrible actually, but it's funny to watch because like, man, where do these ideas come from? But the Wookiees that weren't Chewie absolutely fucking killed me, because it's like, this is like the worst shit I've ever seen.
Right, because you get Itchy, which is Itchy the Chewie's like dad. There's the gray Wookiee that's in that, and then there's the son, like Chewbacca's son is in that too, and he looks like an Ewok with super long hair. And it's just like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Anybody who's never watched the Christmas special, just look up on YouTube. Just give yourself like 20 minutes and turn it off. That's about
Yeah,
all. That's
that's all about all you'll be able to make it through.
Yeah, fast forward to the Boba Fett part, and because that's pretty interesting how that was his first appearance.
Well, what's interesting about it is it's
Fire.
Ralph Bakshi. The Boba Fett stuff is Ralph Bakshi. It's the same guy who did Fire and Ice. It's the same guy who did with the movie Wizards.
Okay.
He's done some stuff. He's done stuff with he's done scenes in like Heavy Metal, the movie Heavy Metal.
Mark Hamill had a part in Wizards, actually.
Yeah. I think Ralph Bakshi, if I'm not mistaken, I think he also did like Rock and Rule or something like that. So, I mean, he's totally, for the time, for like the 70s and 80s, late 70s, early 80s animation, he's totally like ahead of his time kind of deal, because they were shooting like live actors to do the stuff and then compositing, especially in like Fire and Ice. They did a composite where they drew over the frames of the live actors.
Yeah, it seems like
and made the animation.
Seems like a lot of work.
Let me bring him up here. Yeah, Ralph Bakshi. He did Fritz the Cat, Wizards. He did the Lord of the Rings.
The cartoon.
And, yeah, the 1978 Lord of the Rings.
Was that Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit? I can't remember.
No, there was both.
What? That's okay.
Yeah. Fire and Ice, American Pop. He did Cool World. You remember Cool World? With,
the Roger Rabbit breakup with Brad Pitt
and Pam Anderson.
It was Kim Basinger, wasn't it?
Was it Kim Basinger? So. Kim Basinger. Yeah, he did that also. And but it's just like, you know, the ahead of the time kind of thing. He's not credited for the Christmas special, but it would not surprise me if they tried to wash that away. It seems like Star Wars has tried to discredit that as much as possible.
Yeah.
So if he's not a part of it, I stand corrected. But yeah, total cool stuff. His style is like a live action Frank Frazetta drawing.
Yeah, that's cool because I like the Frank Frazetta stuff. Our my greatest compliment as a band was we sound like what a Frank Frazetta painting would sound like. I was like, oh,
and that's good.
I'll take that. I'll take that all day long, actually.
Well, hell yeah, because let's face it, some of the bands that have used his stuff sound nothing like that.
Dude, Molly Hatchet is the biggest fucking quandary to me. It's like you look at these covers, like when I was like younger and like I was very impressed, by art, which I still am, but I'm a little more skeptical now. I was like, well, Molly Hatchet did it. This band might too. But the first time I listened to a Molly Hatchet record, I was like, man, it's gonna be some fucking metal shit, And I put it on, and it's like Flirting with Disaster. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, because that's the album with Death Dealer on the cover.
Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah. And like they used it for like every album. It was like bizarre because like the music did not match the image.
Right. You'd expect it to be like super awesome power metal.
Oh, dude.
And then you get like Leonard Skinner fed through the grinder, and it's just like, what? Come on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like I was really disappointed. That's why it's like when I was shopping for like metal CDs in my bedroom when I was like 12, I would look at covers. I saw like the Vocal Display Power, like dude, you punched in the face. It's like, I need to have this, So I bought it. But then there was some stuff I bought, and it was like I quit doing that because I got burned a lot, as like the Molly Hatchet stuff and other ones too, like some 90s Slayer that's debatable on whether it's good or not, stuff like that. So,
which is funny to me because I could price and find out how much how much they would charge for the license for that, and I would totally redo the image with Death Dealer if it was affordable to do, because at this point it's Frazetta's most famous piece.
Yeah.
So I could only imagine it's like they want a couple $1,000s for it.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, like I said, I don't know why Molly Hatchet used them. I guess they're just fan of the art, didn't really care. But yeah, it baffles me to this day, that that band is associated with Frank Frazetta, has nothing to do with anything Frank Frazetta drew.
Right.
There's no songs about sword and sorcery with Molly Hatchet. It's like Dreams, Flirting with Disaster, a plethora of other ones I can't
A
remember.
race. It's like, I remember when, like, I think it was NASCAR 64 came out, and it was like for the Nintendo 64, and that was the theme.
It was on PlayStation 1 also.
Yeah. And it was that was the theme for the game, was Flirting with Disaster.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh,
I had it.
It's like,
and it played the whole song. It wouldn't just play like a verse chorus. I mean, it was like the whole song. And if you were messing around and went to do something, you would come back and it would still be playing. So I can't handle this shit no more.
right. It's a big burnout factor for everybody's.
All right. Well, real quick, getting back to Andor before we go. Our preview. So I imagine it's probably going to be like a spy series, which could be pretty cool in the Star Wars universe. I'm almost thinking that's probably what it is. So maybe some Rogue One characters will be in it, like maybe more.
Well, from
perhaps or something like that.
From the thing that's happened currently, it's Cassian Andor and K2SO.
Yes.
But apparently K2SO is not going to be reprised by Alan Tudyk.
Oh, really? That sucks.
He's not going to be doing the voice again, because I don't know if Resident Alien's still a thing, but I know he's been doing that series for Sci-Fi, and I think that's the reason why.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe I can explain it as reprogrammed or something. I don't know.
That could be.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much explained that the Millennium Falcon was a man-hating computer or something, like
yeah, and
whatever that was. And Solo, it was like some weird shit, So I don't know.
I'm excited to see it, because I know that there's supposed to be Mon Mothma and Sol Guerrera. Yeah. And then those characters are supposed to be in it, which is totally cool. And it is being written by John Knoll and the other writers for Rogue One.
Yes.
Because that's a little bit of a saving grace, because John Knoll, who's been with ILM since before episode 1 came out, and was before episode 1 was even when it was in the planning stage. I think he's got a well-rounded enough influence to what Star Wars should be.
Yeah,
because it's been his career.
Same with same thing as with not Jon Favreau, but the other the guy with the cap, Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni.
His
yes,
name is involved in something. I'm kind of like, this will probably be okay, because he's like the apprentice of Sith Lord Lucas. He like knows the shit in and out. He's
right,
very familiar with it, knows how it should be. The dialogue is right. My biggest problem with the sequel trilogy was the dialogue in it. The shit was not good. It was very Americanized. It did not fit. There was a part in episode 8 where Poe was like, yeah, it's that big ass door. I'm like, those 3 words have never been mentioned in fucking Star Wars ever. Why the fuck would you say that? And then it like shows like a big door. It's like, haha, that's so funny. I was like,
right.
This shit, I couldn't take that movie fucking seriously, man. I just couldn't.
I get it. And I am not a fan of Oscar Isaac. I mean, he was good in the first, in The Force Awakens. I could kind of get behind him, but I think the more, and here's what the terrible thing is. It was episode 7 and 9 were written by the same person who wrote episodes 5 and 6. Okay, they were written by Lawrence Kasdan, and Lawrence Kasdan has routinely been a good writer for films, and I just don't understand, like, when they let Rian Johnson write the 8th film, and basically gave him a free rein to do whatever. It's not about what he did, I think it was just written horribly.
It was.
I mean, I do support a lot of the things that he wanted to do with that film. However, there are certain things like not just the Leia floating through space, clinging to the ship thing, not just that, but like I think Holdo was written horribly, and I'm not a huge fan of Laura Dern to begin with, but like she just came off as just a vile bitch.
Yeah.
And why would she have to be that character being from the Rebel Alliance?
Yeah. Yeah. My whole thing was like her and Leia to an extent, which I have to say, Carrie Fisher was pretty fucking terrible in the sequel trilogy. I don't think she was very good at all. That's an actress way past her prime, unfortunately, But yeah, the whole plot of like Poe is like, oh, we need to do this. It's like, yeah, it's a good idea, but we're not gonna let him know just because. I'm like, but
right.
This is stupid. It's like, why? I don't. And then like she's like, yeah, I'm gonna stay behind, and like she like goes into hyperspace for like 200 feet, and like splits through like another ship. I'm like, I don't really think it's how it works, but okay. Yeah.
Well, the way I understood that was they had to stay behind to manually override the safety protocol, because that's how hyperdrive works. Is like it's not a straight line from here to there. That you have to, what Han says in episode 4, we could fly through a star, bounce too close to a supernova, and that would end your trip real quick. So it's like the autopilot has to be, it's made to pick the safest route to not fly into things.
Right.
So somebody had to fly into something, somebody manually has to do it. Which that I think was the best thing for that character. She should have died there.
What she should have done is kept Rose on the ship with her, because that character was fucking worthless too. It's like when Finn was gonna like sacrifice himself to like blow up. Man, it's been so long since I've watched. I don't even remember, but he was gonna sacrifice himself for the good of everybody else, and like Rose just like fucks it all up. It's like, you can't. I'm like, but
you were trying to kill him 40 minutes ago for being a deserter.
Yeah, and then, like the whole thing, like the casino planet, which I thought the casino planet was cool, and it's like rich people were bad. It's like,
yeah,
not all rich people were bad. I mean, I don't know.
Just the Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, I was excited for Benicio del Toro, but I was like, man, that's gonna be fucking awesome. It's like, what? He didn't do anything. He was like, yeah, I sold you guys out for money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's like, the good guys.
Yeah, I don't.
And the bad guys.
I'm not even gonna remember your name because you suck.
Yeah, I don't know it. I know him. I know him just as the actor who played him. I can't remember
exactly. Like I was really stoked for episode 8, man. I was really let down, and that's why I really didn't care about episode 9 that much. I watched it. I don't remember much about it, unfortunately.
See, so, I do like, because Abrams came back for it and tried to right most of the wrongs from 8. That's why
8 still existed. So
right. I mean, 8 is the bastard child episode. Now, I'm not saying that not everything is. What's that?
Makes 2 look good. That's bad, because 2 is terrible.
Right. It does make 2 look good.
And Mike, if you're listening, I know it's your favorite, but still.
Right. I think that, like, with that, there's great scenes in it. Like the Snoke scene is really good, where they fight the Crimson Guard.
Yeah.
That is a great scene. That looks good. It's like action and packed. It's intense, but like it's not enough to right the wrongs of everything else.
Yeah.
And I think the Kylo Ren scene with the Force perception Luke is a good scene. It's like everything in that sentence you said was wrong.
Yeah.
And this where they're on there with the salt, and like Luke doesn't leave footprints, but Kylo is, and so like, oh, that's interesting. It's one of those second watch through kind of things that you don't notice at first.
I didn't write, but I had like someone asked for one time. I was like, I'll tell you exactly how the prequel trilogy should have went. I was like, I can do it in like fucking 20 sentences. Like episode 7, they go find Luke. They find him halfway through the movie. He takes Rey off for training. Blah 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 blah. Episode 8, Kylo Ren kills Han. At the end of episode 8, Luke kills Kylo Ren because it's his best friend. Turns to the dark side. Episode 9, Rey and Luke fight. Redeem him. He turns to a Force ghost, redeemed for the light side, and Rey has proper training. Because she would have had more of it in 7 and 8, and then call it good. Like that was the arc that it should have been. And then
I get that.
Yeah, and instead of instead of just killing off Han Solo and never reuniting the 3 actors from the episode 4 who were the genesis of the movie anyway. Like they were all alive, and you didn't have them on one scene together at all. It was bizarre.
Right.
Why did you miss this opportunity? Like you had to know. So I don't know. And the same thing with the prequel trilogy. I think what would have been cool was if Palpatine had Darth Maul as an apprentice, but he was not Chancellor, he was Emperor, and then he picked up Anakin and formed him, and then had Anakin and Darth Maul fight in 3 to see who was going to be his apprentice, and then Obi Wan could have killed or done to Anakin what he did. Instead of wasting Darth Maul in the first movie, I thought, it was kind of sucked because he should have been in all 3. It would have been a better character arc. They could have done cooler shit, over time, been more menacing. I thought that would have been a way better way to go. But
yeah, I could get behind that.
Movies, so yeah, I guess I don't get a say. But
right, I get behind that. And
Anakin versus Darth Maul as who's going to be Palpatine's apprentice would have been fucking amazing. That would have been.
It would have been really cool to have that as the death scene of Darth Maul in Clone Wars or Rebels or whatever it is.
Right.
I think it's Rebels. That instead of him being like hunting down Obi Wan on Tatooine like he did, because of course there's the story there, but it would have been cool if he was trying to gain his rightful place back at Palpatine's side.
Yeah, it could be cool too. Yeah. I mean, they could have retconned some stuff on the later on, but oh well.
It is what it is.
They are what they are now. There's no changing them, unfortunately.
Right.
All right, Mark. I think we've gone on.
We've covered a lot.
God, yeah, we even got into some damn some other talk for a while too, which I don't remember what it was now.
I think we were shit talking Molly Hatchet, which is always
that's
good.
right. Yes, Molly Hatchet. Boy, we fucking run the gamut here, didn't we?
We did.
Do you listen to? Have you ever heard the band called Bantha Rider?
I have not.
So they are a concept band. They only play about songs about stuff on Tatooine. Just check them out. They're pretty heavy. They're instrumental. They're from like somewhere in Scandinavia somewhere.
Definitely. There's a band that I don't think they do anything anymore. They were called Checkpoint Charlie.
Okay.
And they were from Indianapolis, and they did they were a dual band. They had their own original stuff, but they also did original Star Wars themed songs.
Nice.
So it'd be like, the Han and Leia love song.
Uh-huh.
And it'd be sung from each perspective.
Have you ever seen Galactic Empire or heard of them?
No.
Just check them out. They actually dress up in Star Wars. It's all dark side stuff. Vader is the lead guitar player. Stormtrooper is the bass player. Boba Fett is the drummer. And I think there was another guitar player too. I can't remember who it is, but they actually play the theme songs from Star Wars, but it's metal. It's like
nice.
It's like Palm Mutant. It's all that shit. I'll send you the link. It's actually really good. Yeah. It's actually like bands like Max Sabbath, but because there's not like a dumbass in a fucking Grimace outfit playing, bass or whatever. Yeah. It's
what I love about the Grimace outfit. He's all like stoned out.
What the fuck is Grimace anyway? Like, what the fuck is that thing? I don't even know.
You know what? I really don't know. I really don't know.
It's like I know I know the Hamburglar is
he looks like
hamburgers and shit like that, but what the fuck does Grimace represent?
Do you know who Hamburglar reminds me of?
Who?
Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah, I can see that.
From Mad Magazine. He's just in a burglar like mask, like a raccoon mask. I've always thought that.
I used to have all those toys when I was younger. I was really into the McDonald's toy mascots for some reason, but looking back, I really don't understand what the hell they were all about. So wasn't there like wasn't there like the chicken McNuggets, weren't they a thing too?
I believe so.
And Mayor McCheese, I remember him. But Ronald is like the only one who's like made it through time. Like he's the only one that survived, like, you know, the purge of McDonald's mascots over the last couple decades.
Did you know there's a McDonald's wiki also?
A McDonald's Wookie.
Wikipedia,
I
where it's like Wikipedia. It's like, wow, that's interesting. Because I just looked up the Grimace. So it's like originally Grimace was the evil Grimace with two pairs of arms to steal milkshakes.
What the hell is that?
After that first campaign, the character was revised to be one of the good guys.
Are there villains in McDonald's?
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Oh, dude, when that shit becomes public domain, like someone has to make like a horror movie, like or something about the McDonald's characters, like going on like a fucking crime spree or some shit.
That's funny.
Yeah. I sent you that one. I sent you that link about the Winnie the Pooh horror movie, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. So the synopsis is that this is a big spoiler if everyone wants to watch it. The synopsis is that Pooh and Piglet kill Eeyore for some reason, and then just go on a murderous rampage for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it sounds intriguing.
I don't know why they would want to kill Eeyore, because Eeyore's already depressed. I mean, I know they're putting him out of his misery, but
yeah,
I think they would kill Rabbit because he was a fuckhead.
You know, if it was me, I would make Tigger like a meth head, like always just like wired and shit. And then like
cokehead, yeah,
and just go around and like the plot is like we need to find Christopher Robinson and kill him because he took all our honey or something. So along the way, they see all the 100 Acre Woods characters, and we just kill them in funny, awesome, gruesome ways.
Wow,
that's how it should go down.
No kidding. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's great though.
The fact that something like that's being made kills me though. I can't wait for it to watch it.
You know, I mean, fan films like that are great because they're great reimaginings.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like public domain is great, man, because you can really take that classic stuff and just fucking do whatever you want with it. Because after like I think 80 or 100 years, then it's public, everything's public domain. So there's no more nothing. That's why Mickey Mouse is actually threatening to be public domain soon because that shit in Florida when the governor took away their special status. I think there was some copyright stuff in that too. So I think that's getting ready to expire. So people will probably start making like fucked up fan films of like Mickey Mouse doing shit pretty soon. I'm sure Disney will love that. But
I'm sure they'll release, there will be more that are released from back in the day.
Yeah. So, all right, Mark. Well, now we're at an hour 52. So let's go ahead and we'll call it a night here.
Absolutely. If you want to cut the recording, I was going to tell you some stuff off the record. So,
hold on. So, real quick before we go, I am on the Airhorn podcast. This is a subbed series underneath that. It's at patreon.com/Airhorn and on Spotify. You get the recordings 3 days early on Patreon before it goes to Spotify. Mark is on the Metalforge Radio every Friday. His podcast interviewing guests and other random people about metal topics. And Joe, who left us too early, he does the Shade Beast Records web store out of Athens. Like I say, it's records and cool memorabilia, like custom made memorabilia, like my Dio shirt I'm wearing. And he has a Lemmy one that I sent Mark and a bunch of other ones too. So check out his stuff. Get you some limited edition trading cards and Star Wars stickers. He does custom Star Wars stickers with a Shade Beast on it from like Jawa sand crawlers or like, a gun or stuff like that. So it's really cool stuff. And so make sure you buy from him. And also, if you buy from Shade Beast, you get a lot of extras. So if you like goodies in your packages besides your record, or from Shade Beast, you'll get a lot more than you asked for. So, all right, everyone.
Awesome.
Well, we'll see for, I think the next one is going to be probably a Mudhorn story. I think me and Mike are going to do the new Predator movie. Fingers crossed that it's good.
Right.
And then we'll get back to episode 6 for the Andor series.
What isn't the name of that? Like Prey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you watched the trailer for that?
I have not. I
Dude,
need to.
I have
though.
to say, it looks like it's going back to what made Predator cool. It's not the high-tech weapons, it's the primitive weapons that you're fighting a superior being. So
Definitely.
good. And it's also the first film ever filmed in total Comanche. So you can watch it with English subtitles or you can watch it in English. But I think I'm gonna go watch it in Comanche because I think that sounds pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it sounds awesome. So I'm hoping it's good. It looks promising. I'll just say that.
Hell
But
yeah.
the last Predator movie did too, and I could go on and on about that fucking hunk of shit. So
Right.
so anyway, guys, we'll see you pretty soon. And like I said, if you ever want to be on this podcast or host an episode, text me and I'll send you my Zoom link and you can have whoever on it. Let's just make it like a public radio open forum like they do. Like, hey, you want the 3 a.m. slot on my radio station to do a show? Fine, So yeah, just let us know. I envision it as a rotating cast and open to anybody who wants to just talk some sci-fi or like pop culture stuff. No politics, no stuff like that, because all that shit leads to is a bunch of nothing anyway. So
Definitely. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Check out the Alehorn podcast and the Metalforge podcast. Hell yeah.
All right, guys. We'll take care. See you later.
So, yeah.